It's the middle of the night. Kate is out in the yard. Chris is missing. Jim comes back from a house call. He confesses to Kate that he has always known Joe is guilty. He tells her not to worry. Chris will come back. He will figure out how to compromise. Jim offers to go look for Chris. Joe comes in, upset that Jim is in his business. Kate's had about enough of her husband. She tells him that Jim knows that he is guilty. Joe now asks Kate what he should do, and she tells him that if Chris comes back, Joe should tell Chris that he is willing to go to prison for what he did. Perhaps Chris would then forgive him if he feels that Joe is willing to pay. Joe becomes angry. He can't believe this and says that he has spoiled his family. He even committed a crime to give them money. His family wanted money, and so he made money. Now they are turning on him. He thinks that there is nothing bigger than the family, but Kate explains that for Chris there is something bigger than the family. Joe can't understand that perspective. He's defined by his family. Anne enters, wanting to speak to Kate alone. She has her own agenda. She won't do anything about Joe's guilt. In return, she wants Kate to set Chris free, to tell him that Larry is dead and that she knows it. Otherwise, Chris will always feel guilty about marrying her. Anne wants to get on with her life. Kate refuses to do so, so Anne asks Joe to exit. She wants to talk to Kate alone. Anne takes a letter from her pocket which Larry wrote to her before he crashed off the coast of China. She didn't want to share it, but Kate leaves her no choice. Kate begins to read it and breaks down, moaning, crying. Chris comes back looking exhausted. He apologizes to Anne for being a coward, for suspecting his father and doing nothing about it. He wants to put him in jail now, but doesn't feel like he can. He has decided he must go away for good. He hates himself for not being able to give his father up to the police and sees himself as cowardly in giving up his principles just like everybody else. Anne wants to go with him, but Chris is convinced she will never forgive him for not delivering up his father. He cannot find a reason to make Joe suffer. Putting him behind bars will not bring the pilots back to life. Anne tries to comfort Chris. She doesn't expect him to do anything about Joe, but in reality she does. Anne now refuses to let Chris go. Joe comes out defensive. He asks Chris what he intends to do. He tells Chris to throw his money away if he thinks it's so dirty. If he has to go to jail, then so does half the country. He's no worse than any other man in the world. Chris knows that he just thought Joe was better than other men because he saw him as a father. Anne takes Larry's letter from Kate and pushes it into Chris's hand. Kate tries to push Joe away so that he will not hear what's in the letter. Chris reads out what Larry wrote to Anne 3 years before. Larry confesses that he plans to kill himself because of his father's guilt. Larry had read in the newspapers about their fathers being convicted. He could not stand life anymore. He was going to commit suicide. Anne was not to wait for him. If he had had his father there, he would have killed him. The truth Kate hid for so long is gradually emerging. Joe grabs the letter and reads it. Now he understands that they were all his sons. He says he will turn himself in. He tells Chris to get the car while he goes to put on his jacket. Kate begs him not to go and forbids Chris to take him. She says the war is over, but Chris replies angrily that it is not enough for them to be sorry about Larry's death. They must realize that there is a universe of people outside and that they are all responsible to it. Unless they realize that Larry has died in vain, he wants to teach them that they have to understand there are wider consequences for their actions. A shot is heard from the house. Chris goes to check, then comes back out. Joe has killed himself. Kate tells Chris not to blame himself.